seriously.
Okay, so I said 2
The video just doesn't do it justice. It is pretty amazing, though.
One of the most amazing things about his mission was that Stephanie organized a Zoom call for us, all of the Black astronauts, to talk to Victor while he gave us a tour through the space station on an iPad. And he was in space at the same time that, we were coming with the deliberations of George Floyd, and we had all these things that we were thinking about down here on the planet with COVID, but having this connection with our brothers and family and people helped us all get through things.
What boundaries did you have to overcome becoming an astronaut, and what did you ever struggle in school at any moment in time?
I lost my hearing in a training accident. I was completely deaf, and the doctors told me that I would never fly in space. And my hearing started to slowly come back in my right ear, but only in the speaking frequencies. And they said, you're medically disqualified, you won't fly. But I've always believed that if you keep trying, like the little engine that could, I think I can, your mind has a way, I'm not a neuroscientist, but your mind has a way of fixing your body, if you believe in it enough. You need doctors, you need other people, but you have a great stake in helping prepare yourself by the way that you have your outlook.
I want to congratulate you on being the first African American to walk in space. And I remember preparing, knowing that he was going to call. I said, what the hell am I going to say to the president? Because everybody's going to hear Mission Control and the rest of the world. And so I said these words that you've probably heard many times before. I said, Mr. President, thank you for the honor of your call. But I have to tell you that I may be the first, but I will not be the last.
Amen.
Yeah.
And listening to Bob Kirby now holding the record, that was true. So what can I say to you that will inspire you? And maybe this statement, I believe that there are 3 things that I know about everybody in this room. 3 things. And if you adhere to these 3 things, you can accomplish whatever you want to do in life. Those 3 things make it possible for you to do anything. The first thing that I believe, and believe in you, is that I believe that everyone is born multi-potential with the ability to do anything that they want to do in life, anything. You have to figure out what that is. You have to discover that very early, as we all did. Number 2, I believe that each and every one of you in this room is multi-talented, but we have something called a brain where we can learn additional talents, and that's what education is all about. So that's really important, right? And the last thing that I believe that's really important for success in life, and that is, I believe that each and every one of us were born for a reason. There is something that you are supposed to do, or some things that you are supposed to do in this life. Now, all of those require what? They require an active person, someone thinking, you figuring out who you are, where you are, what position, setting goals, dreaming, finding people to help you along, finding mentors. And so it not only requires inspiration, but aspiration that comes from you.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
What is your work like when you're not in space or training for a mission?
There's no average day. Some days I have a lot of meetings, but some days I get to go and scuba dive or full pressure dive at the giant pool that we have, 6 million gallons of water where we train for spacewalks. Or right on the other side of that facility, there's an airport, and we go fly our T-38 high-performance aircraft.
One of the biggest things that we have to do is function very well as a team. We go on expeditions where we want to get people to push everyone's limits to see how you act when you're in this heightened state of awareness.
We work hard on leadership and teamwork. And so it involves really just spending time together and being intentional.
My question today for you all is, do you think everyone should have the opportunity to travel to space?
That is a very good question. And the answer to it is yes. Let me fill in the blanks. So I think everybody should have the opportunity to go into space, but currently, right now, it's not available for everybody to go. But we have now set the stage for anyone that wants to go into space to go into space. We now have private interests in what's happening in low Earth orbit, particularly in the International Space Station, has opened up all sorts of possibilities. So all of you in this room, I'm just looking at your age group, you have been born in a world where we have been in space, where we lived in space, where we've had people in space 24/7. I grew up, and some of us here that are on the older side grew up, that was not the case. So the possibilities are really endless.
How many of you would like to go to space?
Love it.
Awesome.
Excellent.
Do it. You can do it.
Yeah, shout out to the black astronauts on that panel. Shout out to the young black children, that were asking those questions on that panel. It's funny to me, had that been a basketball panel, if those astronauts was LeBron James, Steph Curry, Giannis, that whole room would have been filled up. But I'm gonna keep it positive. You know what I mean? I try to do that with this one because I know a lot of my information be heavy, but you can't sugarcoat shit that is the real shit. But I just want to show my appreciation for the future of the black youth who are in those fields, who are interested in longevity and retracing our old steps of the past of space. He may have been the first African American to been to space, but he's not the first black entity at all by any means. And also part of this video is a little hybrid video. I want to get people prepared for deeper conversations, so we're going to also get into some of this UAP stuff, UFOs. Once again, my words are for like those kids on the NASA panel, kids who are thinking outside the box, who are going beyond the confines of this reality. But let's get into some of this UFO stuff. This is the official government statement by NASA.
While a large number of cases in Arrow's holdings remain technically unresolved, this is primarily due to a lack of data associated with those cases. Without sufficient data, we are unable to reach defendable conclusions that meet the high scientific standards we set for resolution. Meanwhile, for the few objects that do demonstrate potentially anomalous characteristics, Arrow is approaching these cases with the highest level of objectivity and analytic rigor. This includes physical testing and employing modeling and simulation to validate our analyses and the underlying theories, and then peer reviewing those results before reaching any conclusions. This is an example of one that I showed at the hearing recently. This is a spherical orb, metallic, in the Middle East, 2022, by an MQ-9. I will come back to the sensor question that David raised here in a moment. This is a typical example of the thing that we see most of. We see these all over the world, and we see these in making very interesting apparent maneuvers. This one in particular, however, I would point out, demonstrated no enigmatic technical capabilities and was no threat to airborne safety. While we are still looking at it, I don't have any more data other than that.
Okay, so that was UFO, UAP in 2022. Now, I have a story of one in 2014 in Israel and Kemet, or Egypt. So I'm going to read this to you. 3 former U.S. veterans have claimed to have seen unidentified flying objects, or UFOs, along the Israel-Egypt border in the peninsula in 2014. The 3 veterans have said that they saw 8 objects in the sky that were hovering and speeding while they were at an outpost in the peninsula on Egyptian border around December 2014. Okay, now pay attention to the regions of all the UAP activity, okay? It's very important. The three claim that they were told to keep your mouth shut. These comments come as Congress holds the first hearings into the UFOs in half a century. Sergeant Travis Bridgham, E4 Specialist Vijua Singh, and Private First Class Dovell Ingram were all stationed near the south end of the Israel-Egyptian border in 2014. They claim that they saw objects in the sky of non-human origin. So this stuff has been happening for a long time, and I'm going to show you even how longer. I would describe it as a big object with several smaller objects which appeared to be communicating or scuffling like a dogfight in the air, said one of the three, Sergeant Travis Bridgham, 36. So obviously there's something bigger going on, because the areas that these UAPs and UFOs been are always similar to the same areas. You know what I mean? It's always in the Egyptian area, but let's keep going. Mr. Ingram was the first to spot something strange in the sky that night. He quoted as saying by the Daily Mail that he was scared shitless after seeing a bright, apparent craft in the night sky. Mr. Singh also claimed to have seen UFOs, and quoted as saying that the craft and smaller objects began moving like fireflies, left, right, up, down. They were turning everywhere instantaneously. They must have been 30,000 feet in the sky. We knew it wasn't our military, and it was baffling, he added. The objects were glowing. You could clearly see them with the naked eye, and it was clearly how fast they were moving. To this day, I've never seen anything like the craft covering such distances with extreme speeds. Okay, and here's the photo of the military group. And down there is the man who was at the UFO conference when it was first being heard back then. And then on the left is a visual representation of what those soldiers saw. So as you can see, like he said, there's a center glowing UAP, UFO, and then it's surrounded by others. Yeah, this stuff is here, folks. Like, this stuff is here. And it's best to, everyone's like, well, what do we do about it? What's the point? Like, look, this shit's been here for a while, okay? This is a cave painting of those exact same things since 13,000, 10,000 BC. Now, the only people I know who of that caliber of messing with things like this, like I said, are the Anunnaki. And look, here are the hot spots of, this is updated. As you can see, the little hot spot in the Middle Eastern area from America, but those are important places because what is in the Middle East? Iraq. What is Iraq? Sumeria. And you have to think, we've been kicked out of every place black people were inhabited. Kemet, Egypt, 7 times. Like, once the second sun fell, we were kicked out of there, and it's important for them to do that because just being around these things activates stuff, And it's funny, out of all the UAPs that are around, there is one that black people have to retrieve, and I don't know who it's going to be, but there is one. And because we're so filled with entertainment and stuff, we probably don't have this knowledge, but check this out. Remember, all the UAPs that are flying around, there is one that is here that we have yet to capture because we're ignorant to what it is. But I'm going to show you that in a second, and I'm going to leave you with that.
One tunnel, Billy, goes straight down, and you can't see the bottom of it. We're going to see that in a second. I've got some images. What's at the bottom of that first tunnel?
Well, underneath the Great Sphinx, there's a lot of tunnels. Some of them lead out for miles underneath Giza. And according to the Emerald Tablets, Thoth claims to have even hidden a ship of some type underneath the Sphinx. There have been ground-penetrating radar reports stating that about a mile down, there's a massive cavern or some kind of opening with something underneath the Sphinx. Nobody's been given access to go that deep.
When you say ship, ship for the water or ship as in a craft?
Well, he calls it a ship that has the capability of battling an invader from the deep, and he's talking about deep space.
Right.
So I don't think it's a ship that sails out on the ocean. I think it's a spaceship of some type. He says the one that is the wisest will be able to free the ship and defeat the enemy with ease.